So on the surface, this video topic isn't really that big of a deal. It's just, okay, it happens, whatever. But I wanted to go out there and talk about it because there is a sort of interesting thought process that you could be introduced to as a result of this conversation. You already know from the title and the thumbnail, today we are talking about Montreal Canadiens superstar forward in the making, Juraj Slafkovsky, and the status of his acquisition onto Team Slovakia for the upcoming 2024 World Championships. Now, it was announced earlier last week that Slafkovsky, Nemec, a few other guys are indeed going to be a part of this roster, and it was a pretty big deal because, a lot of these guys, they're not playing hockey anymore. Their teams have been eliminated, so Tatar, Slafkovsky, Nemec, Pospisil, Pavel Regenda, these guys are going over to Team Slovakia, and I think they're actually going to play a tournament game, or a pre-tournament game, against Team Poland on May 3rd. So this might be a good introduction into seeing what Team Slovakia is going to be able to do. I don't really project Team Poland to being too much of a threat, let's just say. No offense, of course, to Poland. But in this video, we're going to be talking about Slafkovsky because according to Tomas Prokop, who is a Slovak hockey insider, columnist, and basketball journalist, he works for Denik Sport and publishes articles about, Slovak hockey stuff. He also co-authored the Marian Hossa biography. He went out there and tweeted this the other day in regards to Juraj Slafkovsky. This first tweet was in Slovak, but I translated it into English. He talks about how Juraj Slafkovsky might arrive with the team, however, he still has to undergo the procedures he received from the doctors in Montreal. Patrick Koch and Milos Kelemen are in a solution they will call with Eric Chernak, so just kind of a update about different guys on the Slovak team. Prokop then retweeted the same tweet, or not retweeted, he tweeted a second time the same tweet, but in English, saying this, that Juraj Slafkovsky is expected to join the Slovak national team later than anticipated. He needs to undergo some medical procedures in Montreal first. And for Prokop, this tweet did get quoted by the folks over at Habs on Reddit. Hopefully everything is okay with Juraj Slafkovsky. And then Prokop replies saying he'll be fine, he just has to arrive with the national team a bit later. And so, with this, we are hearing now that Juraj Slafkovsky is going to go through some medical procedures in Montreal before heading over to the Slovak national team. Now, is this a big deal? Probably not. I mean, the way Prokop's talking about it, it's like, oh yeah, he'll get this procedure and then he'll come over and then he'll start playing the games a little bit later. Which, look, there are 2 days left until the Slovaks play the Polish, so we'll wait and see whether or not Slafkovsky is going to be a part of the team there. But even on the preliminary graphic that the Slovak team went out there and sent out, Juraj Slafkovsky is one of, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 forwards that are available on the team. So even if Slafkovsky isn't technically there, if he doesn't recover from his procedures on time, then I think the Slovak team will be fine. They have more than enough names to play a full-fledged game without Slafkovsky, but it is kind of interesting to hear that he is a little bit banged up. He needs to get some procedures done. Who knows if it's like surgery or whatever. That's a big word that everybody likes to go out there and toss around. Oh, he's getting surgery, and that makes it sound more dangerous, but who knows? Medical procedure may just mean something else. I have really no idea. I'm not a doctor, but there was a conversation sparked up after this entire Slafkovsky thing came out earlier as to whether or not this actually is the proper way to proceed. Let's go back over onto the initial Prokop tweet in English. One of the first replies is from Pack Daddy. He goes out there and says this: if Slafkovsky is hurt, why play in a meaningless tournament? And in the replies, there is a lot more defending of the decision to play, essentially because in Europe, the World Championships is a really big deal. Like, it's a really big deal. I'm not going to go out there and discredit that at all. If anybody has seen the performances out of teams like Latvia, for example, or the Slovak teams, or the Czech teams, or the Slovenian teams, there are so many passionate fans that treat the World Championships like their Stanley Cup. When Team Latvia won a medal last year, off the back of Artur Silovs, by the way, the parade in the streets was huge. That's a tournament that most Canadian fans don't really care too much about, because when the World Championships are going on, the Stanley Cup Playoffs also happen to be going on too, and More often than not, a lot of the top-tier superstar Canadian players are still playing in the Stanley Cup Playoffs and thus don't really have a chance to participate in the World Championships. The one year that Sidney Crosby played, it was like a really big deal because it's like, yeah, he never plays in this tournament, his team is always in the playoffs. So this championship tournament is a very big deal to a lot of these European hockey players, countries, and fans. So for Slafkovsky to be like, yeah, no, I need to go through this medical procedure, do I still have the opportunity to play in the World Championships? And he's taking that route. It's totally not a surprise here. So for Canadiens fans like Pad going out there and asking, hey, if he's hurt, why is he playing in a meaningless tournament? It doesn't really give credit to just the amount of love there is for this tourney in the first place, and it discredits just kind of how much this thing means to Slovaks and other Europeans who are going back home to play for their home countries. There was a pretty interesting argument after saying, how is the World Championships a meaningless tournament? And the reply is because it's during the Stanley Cup Playoffs. Most NHL players don't go to this tournament. Yes, but that is your point of view from Canada. If you grew up in Slovakia all your life, of course you would also watch the NHL playoffs, but you would be way more obsessed with the Worlds. It's a no-brainer for him to go there, even though he might feel a little bit of discomfort. Okay, well, if he gets hurt and misses even more than 5 months, Habs fans are going to be pissed that he played. But that's not how life works, though. He shouldn't be in a protective bubble by the fans or on a leash by the organization. Let him roam free and develop himself as a person and a player. You'll see the beast that he becomes. And that, of course, is the other argument, too. I'm not going to go out there and discredit Pad's perspective here on Twitter, saying, hey, why is he playing in this tournament if he's hurt? Because Canadiens fans have been scarred by things like these in the past. Kirby Dach is the best example of that because he missed out on pretty much an entire season because of a freak injury he had suffered in the preseason game at the World Juniors a few years ago. If you remember everything that happened there, he kind of bumped into a guy in the middle of the ice. It was center ice, he didn't even have the puck, and he bumped into this player so weirdly that it caused his hand to move in a weird way. And that's kind of why Dach missed the entire, 2020-2021 NHL season? Something crazy like that. So, I can understand from a fear-mongering point of view why some Canadiens fans might think of this as a bad move, but at the end of the day, the World Championships is a really big deal to many of these European countries, and as we had talked about as well, we made a video a few days ago talking about how Lucas Raymond of the Red Wings is going to be a part of the team, and in that video we had discussed how a lot of these world tournaments are starting to get more NHL interest. Not necessarily because, oh, this just happens to be the year, coincidentally, that everybody is thinking about it. No, it's because with the announcement of a future international tournament for the NHL, they're doing the World Cup of Hockey again, and because the Olympics are now going to allow NHL players too, it opens the door and garners more interest for many hockey players professionally in North America, especially to go out there and say, okay, I kind of want to be able to make the Olympic team in 2026 or whenever. I want to be able to do that, so let's get a small taste of international hockey at this tournament. We'll build up our resume, just kind of get a good standing within Hockey Canada or Hockey Slovakia or whatever. And then, if the Olympics comes around, I'll be an option to them because they're familiar with me and my services. Of course, you can say that, oh, but if you're good enough, the teams are going to ask you. But it's just good to get your foot in the door, right? Especially now that the tournaments are going to be confirmed. We know the NHL is going to be participating in these. It opens the door for a lot more interest. And I think it's not an exclusive thing to Team Slovakia. I mean, Lucas Raymond going over to Sweden, you're going to have a bunch of other Swedes head over there once this first round of the NHL playoffs is over. I have no doubt that if, Nashville gets eliminated or something, you'll probably see Nyquist or Forsberg, or maybe even both, head over to Team Sweden. There are a bunch of other guys still playing in the playoffs right now that are probably on their way out soon. Who knows what happens with the Russians, if Ovechkin's going to join, which he's probably not, he values the rest. But there is an opportunity here for World Championship hockey to be very much more relevant than it's ever been here in North America. And Slafkovsky going there, even though he is injured, is a testament to a lot of that energy. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Juraj Slafkovsky injury situation, how he is going through some medical procedures, and how it will slow him down a little bit heading into the World Championships. Does this concern you? Does this not? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.